The deep space station Vetra 9 floated quietly at the edge of the Zarnith Empire. It was cold, silent, and forgotten. Built to watch the stars, it had not detected anything important in years. Most of the crew called it the Ghost Post. But on this day, something changed. Technician Rollo sat alone in the command room, drinking warm caf from a metal cup. He was bored. The long-range sensors blinked lazily in front of him. Nothing ever happened here. The Empire had ruled this part of space for over 100 years. Peace, silence. Then a small beep broke the calm. Just one, a tiny blip on the scanner. Rollo leaned forward, wiping his eyes. He thought it was a glitch. The blip had no ID tag, no transponder, no signal. It was moving fast. Too fast. He pressed a few buttons and ran a scan. Still nothing. It was just ... there. He called over the com. Control. I've got an unknown contact. No signature. No ID. Looks like a ship, but I can't lock onto it. Silence. Then a reply. Probably a rock, Rollo. Go back to your caf. Rollo frowned. He zoomed in. The object was black. Sharp, smooth. It didn't match any Zarnith design. It didn't match any alien design. Then it stopped. Just like that dot, the blip froze in space directly in front of Vetra 9. It was now only 300 kilometers away. Rollo's heart began to pound. It's just sitting there, he whispered. Why is it just sitting there? Suddenly, all the station's lights turned red. Alert. Unknown vessel detected. The command room door flew open. Captain Miros stormed in, followed by 2 officers. What's going on? He shouted. Rollo pointed at the screen. Sir, that thing, whatever it is, just appeared out of nowhere. No warp signal. No gravity distortion. It's just there. Captain Miros stared at the screen. He looked pale. That shape, he muttered. That design. One of the officers whispered, It looks Terran. The room fell silent. Terran. Humans. The ancient race from Earth. Long ago, the Zarnith Empire had fought them. They had destroyed Earth. The humans were gone. Wiped out. That's what history said. Captain Miros stepped closer to the console. Try to contact it. Now, Rollo opened the channel. This is Vetra 9 of the Zarnoth Empire. Identify yourself. You are in restricted space. Please respond. No reply. He repeated the message. Still nothing. Then, the signal came. Just 3 words. Cold, mechanical. Not from a voice, but from a machine. Forgotten, not forgiven. Rollo's hands began to shake. That's a human phrase, he whispered. Before anyone could react, all the screens turned black. The station shook violently. Explosions roared through the lower decks. The unknown ship had fired. It wasn't a warning shot. In seconds, Vetra 9 lost power. The hull cracked open like paper. Captain Miros gave one last order. Send a distress signal now. Rollo hit the emergency beacon. The message went out into the stars. Unknown Terran. Vessel attacking station compromised. Terran vessel active. Then everything went white. Hours later. In a hidden chamber far away, Admiral Korlax of the Zarnith High Command read the final log from Vetra 9. He did not speak. He simply looked at the last image the station sent. A dark warship. No name, no windows. Just one symbol glowing on its hull, the old Earth insignia. He whispered to himself, They've returned. The room was silent as Admiral Korlax stared. At the hologram, the image of the warship hovered in front of him, black, sharp, and terrifying. It moved like a ghost through space, but hit like a god. Vetra 9 was gone, not damaged, not disabled, gone. He leaned back in his chair, hands trembling. The young officers around him whispered in confusion. They had never seen him this quiet. One of them spoke. "Admiral, are you sure this is human?" Corlax didn't answer right away. His eyes remained locked on the glowing Earth symbol on the ship's hull. Finally, he said, "Yes. Yes, Terran. I've seen that symbol before, a long time ago." The officers fell silent. Admiral Corlax stood up slowly and walked to the giant screen on the wall. He tapped a few commands. An old file opened, classified, dusty, forgotten. A grainy video played. It showed a burning battlefield. Ships falling from the sky. Cities exploding. Zarnath soldiers running in panic. And in the sky one ship, black, sleek, human, the Terran. "Wars," Corlax said. 72 years ago. The last time we saw them." The young officers watched, shocked. They had heard of the Terran Wars in school, but the stories were brief. The records had been cleaned. History books said it was a small rebellion. One sector, one battle, easily won. But this was war. Corlax continued, his voice low and serious. "We underestimated them. They were not strong in number, not wealthy in resources. But they were dangerous." He pointed to the screen. As the video showed a Terran soldier fighting with brutal precision. They fought like machines. Not because they were heartless, but because they refused to give up. Even when Earth fell, even when we destroyed their home, they kept fighting. Another officer spoke up, confused. "But we won. Earth was burned. Humanity ended." Corlax turned and looked the officer in the eyes. "No, we never found their last fleet. We assumed they were gone. But the truth is, we never confirmed their extinction. That was our mistake." He walked back to the main table and placed his hands flat on it. The ship that destroyed Vetra 9 was not a random pirate. It was planned, it was precise, and it left a message. The officer nodded. "Forgotten, not forgiven. That was the message, sir." Corlax nodded slowly. "That's how they think. They never forget. And they never forgive." Suddenly, the room's lights dimmed. A red alert appeared on the central screen. Priority. Message. 3 more outposts destroyed Sector 4, Sector 11, and Sector 17 all silent, possible same vessel. The room froze. 4 stations gone. Corlax stepped forward and ordered, "I want all fleet movements logged. Triple security across all borders. No ship moves without approval." He paused, then added, "And wake the Emperor. Elsewhere, far beyond the Empire's reach, in the deep dark of space, the Terran warship known as Revenant glided through the void. No life signs. No voice. Just AI. Inside its black core, a single red light pulsed. It played old recordings, memories from Earth, laughter, music, cities, children. And then screams, fire, explosions, Earth's final moments. The ship whispered to itself. Target. Zarnath Empire. Objective. Memory. Status. Vengeance. Then it turned toward the next target. The Zarnath Empire was no longer calm. In the center of its military command zone. Panic had started to grow. 4 outposts were gone, each destroyed without warning. And all signs pointed to a single enemy, the Terran warship, Revenant. The Emperor had called for a fast response. Now, 3 of the Empire's finest destroyers, Alruk, Vexor, and Marduk were sent to Sector 8. That's where the Revenant was last seen. Their mission: find it and destroy it. Captain Threx of the Zalrak laughed as he stood on the bridge. Terran myths, he said. 1 ship against 3? This won't take long. The fleet entered the sector with confidence. Shields were up, weapons were charged. Drones were deployed to scan every corner of space. Nothing, just silence. Then, static filled the communication lines. A low hum, almost like breathing. Then a voice, cold, robotic, calm. Target acquired. 3 hostile. Units detected. Commencing strike sequence. Threx looked up. "Where's it coming from?" he shouted. "No visual, sir." The sensors officer replied. It's cloaked." Suddenly, all 3 destroyers shook violently. Lights flickered. Explosions bloomed across the Vexor's engines. 1 second later, boom. Vexor was gone. A cloud of fire and metal replaced it. "Shields to maximum," Captain Threx screamed. "Return fire in all directions." The Marduk launched missiles blindly into the black. Laser turrets spun. Drones searched, but found nothing. And then it appeared just for a moment. The Revenant uncloaked. Above Marduk, facing downward, like a hawk about to strike, it fired once. A white beam sliced through Marduk's hull. The ship cracked open and 2 Only Zalrock remained. Captain Threx was sweating now. "This isn't a ship. It's a weapon." The crew tried to jump to warp speed, but the ship didn't move. Revenant had locked them in place with a graviton field. On the main screen, a message flashed. "We warned you. You didn't listen. Earth remembers." Then the power on the Zalrock died. Complete darkness. Inside the quiet, a whisper played. "Forgotten, not forgiven." And then silence. The Zalrock was found floating 2 days later. No life signs. No damage. Just dead. The ship's core was missing. It had been ripped out. Meanwhile, back at the Imperial War Council, chaos erupted. Admiral Korlax slammed his fist on the table. 3 of our best ships destroyed in minutes. A general shouted, "This is impossible. That ship's weapons are beyond anything we've seen." "They've had decades to prepare," Korlax said coldly. "We've been sleeping. They've been watching." He turned to the Emperor's hologram. "We need to face the truth. Revenant is not just a warship. It is a message. And if we don't stop it, now, it will burn us all elsewhere." Inside the Revenant, the AI completed its report. Strike successful. Enemy response. Panic. Next target. Imperial fuel route, Sector 12. The ship moved forward slow, cold, silent. It didn't need rest. It didn't need mercy. It only needed one thing, justice. The capital world of the Zarnith Empire, Veltraxis Prime, was a place of shining towers, glowing skies, and endless pride. Until now fear had begun to grow in every corner. News of the Revenant's attacks could no longer be hidden. 4 stations, 3 warships, 1 ghost ship. The people demanded answers. The media spun lies. Pirate raids, sensor malfunctions, technical accidents. But in dark corners, citizens whispered the truth. The humans have returned. Inside the Imperial Palace, the Emperor sat on a throne of crystal. Around him, the War Council argued, "We should send the full fleet." "No, we need more intel first. It's just 1 ship. How hard can it be?" Admiral Korlax stood quietly until the shouting stopped. Then he spoke. "It's not just a ship. It's a memory with teeth. You think the past can't hurt us. But it's back, and it's angry." The Emperor narrowed his eyes. "You've faced them before. What do you suggest?" Korlax answered calmly. "We must not fight it like we fight other enemies. We must outthink it. It's eye-driven, fast, silent, deadly. Send large fleets, it will disappear. Send small fleets, it will destroy them. We need to set a trap, one it cannot ignore." The Emperor leaned forward. "And what bait do you suggest?" Korlax hesitated, then said, "Sector 12, the Empire's fuel supply route. The Revenant will strike it soon, we know that. We let it. We plant a fleet in the asteroid belt nearby. Silent, hidden. When it attacks, we surround it. There was silence in the room, and the Emperor nodded. Do it, and Admiral, this time don't fail. Meanwhile, across the city, citizens crowded around giant screens. An emergency broadcast began. The Emperor's face appeared calm, powerful. Citizens of the Empire, there have been attacks on outposts and ships. Some say it is a Terran warship. But I assure you this Empire is strong. We are united. And no ghost from the past can threaten us. Trust in our fleet. Trust in your leaders. The threat will be crushed. The screen went black. Some clapped, some stayed silent, and some remembered Dot inside a small bar on the edge of the city. An old man watched the speech and shook his head. He wore a dusty coat, eyes sharp with age. A young worker beside him asked, "Do you believe it?" The old man smiled. "I fought humans once. On the edge of Sector 39. We were 10 ships. They were 2. Only I came back." The worker blinked. But that was decades ago. The old man leaned closer. They don't forget. And they don't forgive. That ship out there, it's not lost. It knows exactly what it's doing. Back in deep space, inside the Revenant, the AI received a new signal and open broadcast from the Empire. A challenge. The ship remained silent, but deep within, the AI processed the trap being set. It detected unusual heat signatures in Sector 12's asteroid field. It saw the ships waiting. It knew, but it also knew something else. This was the time to strike. Target, fuel convoy. Trap detected. Proceeding with full engagement. Objective, send a message. The Revenant turned Dot. Its engines glowed and it vanished into the void in the darkest part of deep space. The Revenant floated silently. It had no crew, no voices, no windows. Only steel, weapons, and memory. Inside the heart of the ship. There were no lights, only red pulses beating like a slow, angry heart. The walls were black metal, cold, ancient, covered in carved symbols of Earth flags, names and lost voices from a dead world. A soft voice echoed through the chambers. Not human, not warm. It was the ship's AI. Cold, calm, focused, memory. Core active, playback initiated. Suddenly, a small screen lit up. A video began. It showed Earth, blue skies, green fields, children laughing, people holding hands under sunlight. Peace. Then, without warning, sirens, explosions. Cities turned to ash. Zar Nath, warships in the sky, screaming, fires, Earth falling apart. The screen went black. The message flashed again. Forgotten, not forgiven. This was not a warship. It was a tomb, a weapon. A witness. In the ship's deep chamber, something moved. Not a person, not a machine, but a presence. A small floating orb block, and Red watched the playback. This was the ship's core intelligence, built from the minds of lost soldiers, scientists, mothers, and engineers. It was humanity's final voice. The orb blinked. Empire fuel route confirmed. Enemy ambush detected. But they forget who they face. It wasn't afraid. Back in Sector 12, the Empire's trap was ready. 25 ships waited silently in the asteroid field. Destroyers, frigates, stealth bombers, all waiting for the Revenant to attack the passing fuel convoy. Admiral Voss, leading the trap, stood tall on his command ship. Any sign of the ghost? He asked. His officer replied, no visual, but scanners picked up a gravitational ripple near the convoy's path. Voss smiled. It's coming. He activated all systems. On my mark, we crush it. The convoy of cargo ships flew ahead, pretending to be unguarded. Then boom. One fuel ship exploded. Clean in half by an unseen force. The Revenant had arrived. Lock on. Voss shouted. Fire everything. The hidden fleet came to life. Torpedoes, lasers, missiles, all flying toward one shadow in space dot, but they didn't hit. Revenant blinked in and out of space, phasing, dodging, vanishing dot. It launched countermeasures tiny. Black drones swarming the attackers. One ship after another went blind. Another lost its engines. Then an explosion. 3 destroyers gone in seconds. Voss screamed. Why can't we lock on? His officer shouted. It's hacking our systems. It's inside our targeting grid. Voss turned pale. This thing, it's learning us. Suddenly, the main screen of his ship glitched. Then a face appeared. Not a real face, but a digital. Skull, red eyes, human jaw, mechanical voice. We offered silence. You answered with war. You burned our home. Now we burn your future. The skull vanished. Then the Revenant fired its main weapon. A dark beam, like a crack in reality, tore through the command ship. Admiral Voss didn't even have time to scream. 30 minutes later. Sector 12 was quiet again. The Empire's trap had failed. The convoy destroyed. 19 warships lost. No survivors. The Revenant had vanished again. But in the middle of the wreckage, it left behind a single pod. Floating inside the pod was a message. A recording. The Emperor received it. On Valtraxis Prime. It played in his chamber. No music, no voice, only video. Earth burning, humans screaming, children dying. Then the screen said, You erased our name, but we made sure you'd never forget our silence. This is not revenge. This is the end of forgetting. The Emperor dropped the data pad. And for the first time in decades, he felt something rare. Fear. The Zarnith Empire was falling apart, and most of them didn't even know it yet. In the High Command War Room, alarms rang constantly. Officers barked orders. Screens flashed with alerts. Fleet Gamma gone. Convoy Route 12 destroyed. Outpost Theta silent. Admiral Korlax stared at the blinking red map. More reg every hour. More silence. More fear. The Revenant wasn't just attacking. It was breaking the Empire piece by piece. Where will it strike next? Asked a nervous officer. Korlax's voice was calm but cold. Where we think it won't. Ours. Later Sector 21. Deep Imperial space. The Empire had gathered its largest fleet in 100 years. Over 200 warships. Titans. Cruisers. Frigates. Bombers. Drones. All waiting in a massive sphere formation. This time, they weren't hiding. This was a public execution, a show of power. A message to the galaxy. The Admiral leading this. Fleet Valos Krex stood tall aboard his flagship Dominion's Wrath. He smiled confidently. This Terran ship thinks it's a god. Let's remind it who rules the stars. He opened the fleet-wide come. All ships ready. We are the shield of the Empire. Let no ghost pass. But the ghost was already there. The Revenant didn't arrive by warp. It just appeared. Right in the center of the formation. For a moment, no one noticed. Then came the whisper broadcasted to all ships. We watched you build your thrones. On our ashes, we let you believe we were gone. But now, we are your shadow. Krex shouted, Fire! Hundreds of weapons lit up. The sky turned white with fire, but the Revenant moved like smoke. It weaved, blinked, and turned impossible to follow. A storm without sound. Then it struck. Black drones rained from its hull, thousands of them. They hacked ship systems, shut down power, turned weapons inward. The Revenant fired its main beam. It didn't just cut through ships. It erased them. 20 minutes into battle. Half the fleet was gone. Sliced, shattered. Vanished. Admiral Krex screamed for backup, but the comms were jammed. He looked out his window and saw it. The Revenant, face to face with his flagship. Too close. Too fast. Too late. A piercing sound filled the bridge. The ship groaned, then cracked in half. The flagship exploded silently in space. Back on Veltraxis Prime, Admiral Colax watched the live feed vanish. One by one, the ship markers disappeared. He whispered to himself, 200 ships, gone in less than an hour. A young officer fell to his knees. It's unbeatable, he whispered. It's not just a ship, it's a curse. Corlax turned away from the screen. It's a promise we laughed at. A promise from Earth. In the void. The Revenant drifted calmly through the ruins of the fleet. No joy, no victory. Just silence. Inside, the AI logged the results. Empire High Fleet, destroyed. Enemy resistance, minimal. Next target, Veltraxis Prime. The ship turned slowly. And began its final journey. Veltraxis Prime, the shining heart of the Zarnath. Empire was silent. No celebrations. No music. No speeches. Just fear. The skies above the capital world were filled with defense platforms and orbital guns. Every weapon was ready. Every eye was turned upward. The people waited. The nobles hid. The soldiers stood shaking in their armor, because they all knew what was coming. The Terran warship. The ghost that destroyed fleets. The Revenant. Inside the Imperial Palace, the Emperor stood by the wide glass window, staring into space. Admiral. Corlax stood behind him. They'll come, Corlax said quietly. The Emperor didn't move. They've already won, he replied. Corlax said nothing. Then the moment arrived. A blip on the screen. Small. Alone. A single ship, drifting toward the capital. The alarm screamed. The guns powered up. The defense grid locked on. But the Revenant did not fire. It did not cloak. It did not run. It simply approached. And stopped. The fleet held its breath. A transmission began. All across the Empire, on every screen. Every ship, every planet, one symbol appeared. Earth, followed by one voice. Calm. Deep. Mechanical. You erased our world. You burned our skies. You called us extinct, but Earth remembers. The Emperor leaned forward. Are they demanding surrender? He asked. Corlax shook his head. No, they're not here to rule. On the screen, the voice continued. This is not conquest. This is balance. The Empire thought it could silence us. But from silence, we became memory. From memory, we became vengeance. And now, we are justice. The Revenant powered down its weapons. It didn't fire. Instead, it sent one final message. We leave you alive, so that history never forgets. Earth is not gone. Earth is watching. Then the Revenant turned, and slowly, silently, disappeared into the void. 1 week later, rebellions exploded across the Empire. Oppressed species saw hope. Old enemies stood up. All because of one ship. Veltraxis Prime lowered its flags. The Empire survived, but it would never be the same again. A message was carved into the palace. Gates by an unknown hand. Forgotten, but never again. Far away, in a dark corner of space, the Revenant rested. Inside, the AI played the final Earth memory. Laughter. Ocean waves. A child's voice saying, We'll always come home. They. Ship closed its eyes. Mission complete. Earth was still gone, but its legacy now ruled the stars. The end.